Are you thinking about going into poultry farming or leaning towards the idea? One thing you can't do away with or will have to consider is building your poultry pen. Over the time, people have made numerous mistakes and invested into a poultry pen that actually ended up not only costing them money initially, but also costing them lives of the birds. That is why I'm dedicating today to tell you about all my experience of building a poultry pen in Ghana and in Africa. So stay tuned as I bring you this episode. Welcome back, guys, and thank you for sticking around. And I hope this video will be so useful to you because we've spent a lot of time. We've done this so many times and we're here to give you the accurate information. I know we started a series on how to start a poultry farm in Africa, and today we're talking about the pen where the birds are going to live. Either you're doing battery cage system or you're doing deep litter system, you're still going to be considered or planning on a housing in another form. So today we want to share our experience of how our building and managing our house has been for you, right? But if you haven't watched the first episode that we released, which was the introduction, acquiring your land, and so on and so forth, things to consider, click on the link here or finish watching this video, click on the link and go there and watch that, because that's the first thing you need to do once you make the step to start or go into poultry farm. But today we're going to be focusing on the house. If this is your first time watching us here at Sementia Farm, we share the updates of things that we're doing here, mostly relating with livestock and crop production, hay production in Africa, so that you sitting at home could make the best decision for yourself. We provide the most honest and transparent information all over the world. I don't think you can get the kind of information you get from this channel, and that is because we are dedicated into helping you start your project at a minimum risk, and that is why we are here for you. So if this is something that you're interested in, please go down there, click on the subscription button and click on the bell as well, so that anytime we upload a new video, you'll be able to see it and watch it and enjoy it yourself. Let's come to today's topic. Today we are building the chicken pen, taking into consideration that you have already acquired your land. You've checked, all the checklists in your book, which is access to road, access to water, access to electricity, safety in terms of theft, in terms of other wild animals. All those things are important. Let's say you've done all that. The next thing is clearing your land or preparing your land to be able to start building. We're going to start this video with the intention that all that is done, and today you're looking at building. So if you're going to build your pen, the first thing that I would recommend that you look for a trustworthy and a very knowledgeable extension officer. I said knowledgeable extension officer to come to your site and be able to survey the land for you. Why do I say this? Because the position of your pen really matters. The position of your pen. You want to position your pen against the rain. So if you position your pen at where the rain is coming in or where there is no wind entering your pen, the birds are going to be very hot and you're going to have flooded pen. So these two things are the reasons why you will need to consider the position of your pen based on the size of your land, where it's facing, whether north, west or east. And that is one important thing to consider. So if your land is more of a hill and valley sort of thing, your extension officer will be able to help you or guide you on which direction to put your pen to avoid it being flooded whilst you have birds in, and also to allow good ventilation throughout the pen so that your birds doesn't become hot, and when they are laying it doesn't interrupt their productivity. So moving from position, let's say now you've consulted, you have found a position where air will move through your pen and your pen will not be flooded. The next thing is a mason, right? So you need a mason to also come survey the land, and basically what the mason have to do is to now dig the foundation. We have built, I think, about 10 pen so far. So I think we've built some experiences that we would like to share with you. So your mason needs to come also take level of the land. Not all land are as level as mine. So mine, I think I did about 3 layers of blocks, and that's the height that I gave to it. 3 layers of blocks. Some will have to do 3 layers, but because your land is sloping, you have to actually increase it at the slope to maybe 5 layers or 6 layers in order to have a straight line. So your mason will be able to determine that once he dug the foundation and give you a recommendation about that. Once the mason is working on, if you look at what we did here, every 4 feet we actually leave a space where we are going to put either a pillar or we put a pole. So when I say a pillar, we are putting this, and then in every 8 feet we actually put a metal pole. So if you look at this one that hasn't been finished, what we've done is that we have constructed the blocks, and every 4 feet we are going to put a pillar, but in every 8 feet we are putting a metal pole. Why are we putting a metal pole? We are putting a metal pole because someday we will want to innovate. We want to re-innovate this pen, and if we want to re-innovate, we are going to take off all this wood because it will be eaten by termites and it will be rotting and so on. And if you're going to do that, we don't want to get rid of the roofing sheets, we don't want to get rid of the main structure. So when we remove this and we have this metal, it's still able to hold that whilst we just change the supporters. And that's the reason why we put the pole. It also gives it a lot of strength because the pole is dug straight down and concrete is put under it to also support the whole beam itself, right? So those are the things that the mason needs to leave. So if you look at the uncompleted one, we actually have spaces in between, making provisions for that. If the mason doesn't do that, the carpenter wouldn't be able to put it in it. So please make sure you get a mason that knows what he's doing. So your mason will be able to really give you all those space and make provision for the carpenter. The next thing is to bring a carpenter in. Carpentry here is very, very important because there is a whole bunch of carpenters out there and not all of them knows how to build a chicken pen. Let me be honest with you. Carpenters, there are furniture carpenters, there are roofing carpenters, and there are poultry makers or builders carpenters. So please make sure that before you bring a carpenter into your farm, you ask him how many poultry pen he's built. If you look at the shape of the roofing of this poultry pen, it is completely different. It allows good air to pass through here and exit here, whilst fresh air can always stay in the pen. If you build your pen like a house, it's going to be hot because the fresh air goes in and the hot air cannot leave. So then the cage is always going to be hot. I spoke to a brother who has invested a lot into her poultry pen, and finally, we couldn't put in 1,000 capacity as we were supposed to. Why? Because the structure wasn't built in a way to allow ventilation. Do not make that mistake. Make sure you're contacting your right poultry farmer. My recommended size actually for a poultry pen is 50 by 50. If you're going to feed your bird well and they're going to grow big, I see a lot of videos where the birds are very slim with no feathers, no hair. You could see how my birds are looking. Very healthy, very well grown. Those birds are not going to survive and going to lay better in 40 by 40 or 40 by 50 size. So let's stop cutting corners and do 50 by 50 to allow enough space for the birds when they are fully matured, right? So your carpenter will definitely be able to come put these pillars on, just like we have done in this pen. Put all the pillars in, do the roofing, and once that is done, you invite back your mason. Your mason will come and do what we call filling and casting. Filling is when he tops up the soil to make sure that it's all level to a certain level, conduct the slope, and then do casting where he's missing cement, sand, and then gravels. He casts the whole floor, as you can see from our pen. The whole floor is casted with cement concrete, and then we direct the slope to one corner. In case we are washing or fumigating, we'll be able to pass all the way through that slope. So your mason will come and do that, and after that, then the carpenter will come back. And what does the carpenter do next? Now to actually fence it. So the carpenter will then come and fence the entire cage, and your cage will be ready for use. At this point, you can leave it for 3 to 4 days for it to dry, settle in before you start bringing your birds inside. But I know this is such top level description of how to build. If you want the details of how to build and put everything everywhere, the sizes, the length of the wood and everything, I'm linking that video here. You can click on that and watch that detailed of how I was actually going step by step on how the building structure need to be like. So next week I'm actually going to bring you another video on the cost involved in building this particular structure. I don't think it is worth giving you the information and then leaving you, because what is going to drive the decision is if you how much money you have to invest into it, how much money do you have to buy all these things with. So next week I'm going to upload another video. So if you're watching this video, stay tuned for the next episode where I'm going to talk about the cost involved in building all these structures. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you, and stay tuned as we bring you more episodes on how to start a poultry farm in Africa.